So, welcome. My name is Eric Smith. I'm the Executive Director and COO of the Ministry of Spoken Gospel. You got to meet David Bowden last night. He gave all the spoken word poetry, and so he's my business partner. He comes up with all the really eloquent words and all the artistry that goes into our ministry. So, Spoken Gospel, it's our mission to speak the gospel out of every corner of Scripture. And we're actually creating video introductions to every book of the Bible in the next 3 years using spoken word poetry to tell the story. And so even next Friday we're releasing the book of Exodus, and we're using a big 8 by 15 foot mural painting to paint the backdrop of Exodus on which the gospel story can be told. And David's spoken word poetry is being as a voiceover on top of that video, which is really cool. And so my role is actually the business side of things. I do finance, operations, I have my MBA, but all of my experience in college and out of college has been centered around online multimedia marketing. And so I was a national marketing director for 3 different mortgage companies over the last decade, and worked with hundreds of loan officers in the mortgage sector, teaching them on how to actually use social media online to engage while either driving new leads or interacting with their existing customers. And now I'm coming over more full-time into nonprofit and ministry and seeing how we can use social media to really speak with our people and pastor them online and give them content that can really help change lives for the better. So I'm really excited to talk about this topic here this morning. I do want this to be as engaging as possible and field as many questions as we can this morning. So as you start to think of questions, either write them down or honestly just be like, hold on, what? Right? Feel free. I mean, this is also the water in which I swim, right? Which is social media marketing. So if I even say a word that you're like, no, you lost me, I'm like, oh, cool, because it's just my vocabulary of this is what I do every day, right? And so I don't want to assume anything. So this morning, what we're going to be talking about is, first of all, even why should we be talking about social media? You know, we're talking about ministry and mission and pastoring people, and it's like, social media, really? You know, I mean, we're talking about sharing photos of our food online on Twitter. Come on, right? How's that going to help, right? Well, we're going to talk through that, and I think it's a very vital tool that we need to be using to reach the next generation and even the current generation today. So that's why social media. But then different types of content. Okay, cool. I'm all in. We should use social media. With what? How do I do it? Or what even types of content exist? Social media is especially good with, as we're talking about ministry, promoting events, services, outreaches, telling stories. And so I want us to really talk through events and a few tools that I even recommend just for getting out the gate and sharpening your tools, anything from novice to expert that I think would be really useful. And then a bunch of Q&A. So, like I said, load them up. I love to have off-the-cuff questions answered. So let's start with a little bit of interaction. Why are you here? And I'm actually curious about that, because why did you choose to come to a social media breakout session? Let's just start. Thoughts? Go for it. Why are you here?
In my experience in Baton Rouge, where I'm from,
Yep.
the devastation from the flood,
Yes.
this recent flood, we went through the process of rebuilding the Salvation Army, the actual site was damaged and destroyed. So what I did is I went through Google and I showed the progress and promotion of all the activities and events that were happening during the building phases, and I just don't think that was adequate enough. I mean, I got 30,000 followers from start to finish, about a year and a half to 2 years, but I really wanted to get that message out there a lot more broad. So.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we could definitely cover that.
Okay.
That's good to know. Yes, why are you here?
Because I do prison ministries,
Yes.
and also whenever I go out to hospitals and like for instance, if I'm there because of my granddaughter or whatever, I still talk to people. And so I'm just wanting to learn if there's other new ways that I can reach the public besides just what I'm doing right now.
Okay, good. Who else?
Pretty much to learn the rules. I mean,
Yep.
you know, I've got a lot of friends, and closed mouth doesn't get fed.
Yep.
But every once in a while, I seem to have a raised eyebrow, though not absconded,
Mhm.
about inquiring on my Facebook page.
Yes.
So, I want to make sure I'm doing things right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
let me make sure I understand that, where it's, how do I really mix this idea of like business versus personal, right? And like, yeah, but this is where I post about my family. Is it okay to be talking about my church? Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yes,
Or-
I mean,
yeah, great.
I'm deeply seated in mine, and we have events, and we have comings up, and
Yep.
I want to network to my family and my
Yes.
friends.
Yes,
And, but I'm understanding there's also,
that fine line, right?
yes, and I want to know how fine that is.
Great. It's really good. I want to make sure I write that one down, because I want to spend time on sorry, real quick, and I'll get yours as well. But, for my sake, I'll put business versus personal. Is that cool?
Okay.
Well, that's going to be annoying. Okay, yes.
I think, many of us in this room might not want to say it, we're old school.
Amen.
Well, wait.
We have a smartphone that's smarter than we are.
You are, Dwayne.
We have to hand it to our grandchildren, our children, to straighten up the mess we made.
Yep.
So we're in new technology, and I think that's why many of us are here,
Okay.
is we want to know that technology, to understand how we can progress the gospel
Yeah.
through the new technology.
Mhm. Great, good. Got that ready. Yes,
We do a Facebook Live
Yeah.
of our church service every Sunday,
yes.
except when I'm not there, to be fun.
Sure.
This is my phone,
Mhm.
and we also have a Facebook page, and
Yes.
I'm one of the administrators, so I want to make sure that what we're doing
Mhm.
on there is the correct thing, what we need to really put on there
Mhm.
versus, I'm not worried about my page. If I
Yeah.
do something on that page, their page, it goes on mine, because my family, my friends, my 700 people
Mhm.
on my page
Sharing that.
need to, if they don't like it, they can delete it.
Yes, yes. Who all here streams their services online? Whether through social media or even on the website?
Or, Miss Catherine, not service.
No? What do you stream?
No, I was saying Miss Catherine, she's always putting everything that we do in the core out on,
Okay.
Facebook.
Okay, cool. But any other live streamers? I think 1, 2, 3. Okay,
Live stream parts of it, not the total.
okay. Yeah, so you're like video capturing it and then posting it, right?
Right.
You're not like actively live
Yes,
streaming?
I'm not live.
Okay, cool. That's good to know. And who all has just a Facebook page? Like not a personal profile, but an actual like for your core
Yeah.
page? Okay, so most. Good, good. Okay, great. What else hasn't been covered? Do you think like, yeah, but I'm here for this and I may be the only one. Like, speak up. Let's make sure we cover everything. Yeah.
I'm the only one because I do not do Facebook.
Okay.
I'm ignorant of this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm here because I'm following my beautiful wife and I wanted to be
Good
next
man.
to her. So I'm sitting on the phone or something, I'm just kidding.
Just-
I do not do Facebook.
Great.
I'm ignorant of this stuff.
Sure.
I really don't, like my brother over there said, old school.
Yep.
Call me, I'll talk to you, text me, it's gonna take me about 40 minutes to reply. I can do it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I really don't know, brother, and I hear a lot of social media, a lot of,
Totally.
it's good stuff.
Yep.
My emails, Salvation Army does send emails.
Yes.
Salvation Army Today,
Mhm.
and I read a lot of stories,
Yeah.
good stuff, but I don't know how to reply to that stuff. I don't know how to, so I wanted to see what I can learn today.
Great, fantastic. Well,
That's
just
it on
one,
to Adam, he doesn't have business, I know.
just one note on that, something, as far as like a reason why I feel really passionate about using social media as a tool is I think it's actually a way that, when you look at marketing and advertising on like a really long-term scale, you see like old school, word of mouth, mom and pop shop, shaking hands, right? And then there's this huge evolution of mass marketing, right, where it went to national advertising. We just saw the Super Bowl last week, right? So like big one-to-many. But when we're looking at social media in this new age, it's actually going back to old school one-to-one, but now it's at scale. So like, when you're having that one-on-one conversation handshake, other people, millions of people, in fact, they have the ability to see that handshake and hear that conversation. So it's unique, but I would say, like, lean into your intuition when it comes to, like, old school network, like, one-on-one, caring about people, and, like, having that connection. That's all of that language and all that intuition is going to translate really well here. Instead of like, yeah, but how do I communicate to everyone? No. Communicate to one person really well, and other people will see it and be like, oh my gosh, did you see how that person communicated? And that's how those stories get told and shared and things like that. So I would just encourage you to step into that. I think that's really good and applies well here. So, great.
I wonder.
Yes.
How do you get your, not just young people,
Yes.
officers,
Yes.
and your congregation to put their phones down and put them away?
Yeah.
That's another
Right.
big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a tough question for me to answer. I think that's a little bit more of a, maybe an administrative thing, you know, and so like, yeah.
Or you have somebody that takes the sermon notes and starts texting it out to those individuals. Did you just hear what he said? And putting scripture in there, it would take some coordination.
Yeah, I would say there's like kind of two routes there. It's like,
I thought about putting a basket in the back of the church and saying, put your phones in here.
yeah, that's tough, because I think that's like encouraging restriction, you know, and.
Their problem.
Right, but I think it goes back to a heart issue there, right? Versus like trying to force someone to like not want to engage, you know.
And-
But, yeah,
On the same point, lots of people are on their Bible on their phone.
yes,
Right,
exactly.
right.
Yeah, I take all my notes on my phone and I'm on the Bible as well. Yeah, I know, right, yes.
The other thing is, different people hear in different ways. It's the world we're in now, and they can be doing all that and still hear what's going on. So we still have to allow the Holy Spirit to do
That's
things.
100%. Yeah, I don't think that's really.
I think we have to take our personal feelings out of and let God take over,
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
you know, going to church and they're on the phone,
Yep,
it's something personal, so we need to take ourselves away from that, and it shouldn't bother us. If it
yep,
bother us, we shouldn't be on the phone.
yeah,
But like she said, everybody praises God different ways.
yeah.
And the young people, unfortunately, it's their umbilical cord right there, or their, you know, if they have no phone, it's like, oh my gosh, you know, I can't connect with anybody. But like, we can also implement standing there or asking them, hey, look at this, and can you help me read this? And you know, you engage the congregation, and even though they have their phones, if you call on them and say, hey, can you read this for me? You're gonna engage the people in the congregation to
Right.
read and be on their phone and feel like they're still in control, but they will be listening.
Yeah, and I think that leads well, honestly, into like the next section of why should you use social media? My number one answer to like why should we be using this tool then, right? If it's distracting or if it's, yeah, but that's what they know, or that we could talk for quite a while about like even the ethics of whether or not we should be using technology or even social media. Let's not cover that right now, but instead it's like why should we even be doing this? It's because they are there. The people that you are wanting to reach, that need to hear the gospel, are there, right? And so let's bring the gospel message to them where they are. And as we're focused, even as Spoken Gospel on our ministry, it's our core conviction that everything is made for video and made online, because we want to breathe the message of the gospel over a section that causes that land to be holy, right? And so like, it's not a holy land because we set ourselves apart, but it's because God is there. So let's bring God's message to somewhere that may or may not be holy. Let's not talk about that. We know who is holy, right? And so let's communicate that holy message to people where they are. And so I think the number one thing I've learned over my years of doing marketing is the importance of attention, right? And so as we look at attention, we have to see where people's eyeballs are, and can we get that message across, because you can't get a message across unless you have their attention. So just to talk a few stats here, over 90% of millennials Yes, me, right? 90% of millennials and 77% of those aged 30 to 49 use social media. Not surprising, right? It's estimated that teens use social media 9 hours a day, 60% of which is on a mobile device, right? The average person, now we're not talking about teens anymore, or millennials, right? The average person spends 2 hours a day on social media, which, by the way, the number one growing social media demographic is 65 and older. About 5 years ago, the largest were middle-aged moms, but now they're already a very large saturated group that most are online, right? 54% of Christian millennials watch online videos about faith or spirituality. And here's my argument to say, and this came from Barna Group, that, okay, but a bunch of people are using social media for different reasons. Yeah, but they still will communicate with each other the gospel message, and they will consume content that is Christian, right? And in fact, Cisco predicts that by 2021, 82% of all consumer internet content will be video, and the number of young people watching religious videos online will only increase. So this is my effort to say, like, people are watching Christian videos online, and videos are only going to continue to increase. It's really important that we contribute to that conversation, right? That we actually put really good gospel-centered messages online. So, what are those messages? What types of content even are there so we can brainstorm ideas around them, right? So, like, are we talking images, or what types of message should we be saying on these Facebook pages that most of you have, right? So, like, what are you posting there, or what can you post? Let's start listing. I like lists. Can we, types of content? Shout them out.
Many of us, myself, I post every day at spiritual,
Yes.
but I don't make it too long because most people see something over 2 or 3 sentences.
Yep.
They just run by it, they don't look at it.
So is that like a devotional, or is it an encouraging thought?
Just that short 1 or 2 line type devotional type things.
Yep.
Many people call it a mini sermon, but
Yeah.
whatever you
Okay.
want to call it.
Yep, so like, oh, sure, we'll call it mini sermon, yeah? Mini sermon. Man, I don't know. All right, what else can we be posting?
Testimony.
Testimony. Like that. That's good.
Uplifting images. So
What's that?
An image with a Bible verse.
Good. Yep. Image, Bible verse. Next. What else?
We also cartoons that has to do with spiritual, I mean, that catches your attention.
Mhm.
Stop and think and look at that cartoon.
I'm going to call it a meme. It's an internet slang for online cartoon. It's meme. All right, so that's, if you didn't know that, you're walking away with something. All right, what else? What can we be posting?
I used to, my son's a teenager, he's 20 now, but 2 years ago, him and his friends, they would ask me for a ride, and I would put Clayton Jennings on, and the, oh, my mind's not working, what is it, their spiritual, vocal spiritual, how do you say? Yeah, motivational speakers, there you go, motivational speakers.
Yep.
So, if you can always say, hey, turn to this emotion.
Can we put that as like kind of motivational speaker under one of those mini sermons, maybe?
Yeah, but.
But it's different, right? It's more just like.
Motivational speaker is more on
Yep.
their level.
Okay.
Because I even had a couple of them, like, they were like really getting in trouble with kids, to where they started thinking about stuff.
Right.
So are you asking for this, the types,
Like-
on what we're doing for like Salvation Army in
Yes.
particular? Or okay.
Yes. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Yep. So what can you be posting?
Okay, so things I do, I work with the shelter,
Mm-hmm.
so I go live sometime in my Bible studies.
Yep.
I'll go live sometime because I do all the cooking there. during meals, when we're doing stuff that's active,
Live is really big. Yes.
only.
You wanna talk about that a
things.
lot? Yep, okay. What else should you post on a Facebook page?
Events that are happening at the church.
Yep. Which can go along with live a little bit, but I do wanna lean into like promoting an event and talking about the event after, because live is just steering, right?
And we're posting, all day long, pictures are being posted of this weekend.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's different events, different things going on,
Yes.
whether we were working or whether we were,
Uh-huh.
last night, David, his picture popped up on us 10 times on my Facebook.
Yes.
So it's like, well, what's going on right now, so that you know, hey, this is what you're missing.
Live updates.
Yeah.
Yep, that's good.
It's like a video of the praise and worship last night.
Yes.
And I just come across a lady, I don't even know who she is, that like promotes it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Doesn't matter.
So as far as like categories that I really want to have us think through and kind of separate different types of posts are branding posts, events posts, and stories and testimonials. I think that's going to really give a good wide range for you to like start brainstorming as you're continuing to think, because I'm trying to give you a tool that you can then go back and be like, oh man, I ran out of the ideas that he told me of what types of posts. No, these are going to be the buckets of the infinite number of ideas you're going to come up with. So first, let's talk about branding. This is who you are. So I'm thinking like, later I'm going to give you this, this tool. It's a website called unsplash.com. So if you want to go and write it down, unsplash.com. unsplash.com. I'll show you here in a little bit, but unsplash.com is a license-free image site. I will warn you, the like typing in the keywords can be a little buggy. So if you're like looking for a calculator, let's say, and you type in calculator and it doesn't show up, you'd be like computer handheld and it'll show up. Or like you just have to kind of like work it a little. But they have, the reason why I do recommend it is that the types of photos are actually really nice. They're a little bit more creative. They look a little bit more unique. They don't look like Shutter photos, you know, Shutterstock or stock photos. Anyway, so finding a good image or even taking your own image and making a statement of what you believe in. You guys have core values, right? You have like mission statements, right? You have who are we and what do we believe in. I would take a photo that represents that idea and one sentence, two sentence, maybe even a really short paragraph that says, we believe in this, right? And so that way you're consistently posting out, I mean, a couple times a week on just that, right? That's like 2 to 3 times where it's like, okay, if someone came to your page and they're like, what are you guys about though, right? What do you care about? I want to get that sense. Now, proof of that is going to be as we get into events and testimonies especially, right? But this is the initial, like, putting your foot forward and communicating who you actually are, not what you're doing, right? I think there's a really big difference here that can get blurred a little bit. It's like, we are this, end of sentence, image, done, and post that, right? But then events, there's promoting for the event, there's active during the event, and then there's follow-up after the event, right? So before, during, and after an event. And I want us to go through setting up, who here has set up an event page on Facebook before to promote an event? 1, 2. Okay, cool, great. Then we'll cover that as well. But that's a really good way to have people, you guys have at least interacted with one before, right? So, okay, I'm getting lots of nods. So, interested, going, and then you can, you know, invite people. That's a really good way to go ahead and show up in different people's feeds of like, oh, so-and-so is going to an event nearby that you might be interested in. And Facebook really encourages that because they're wanting other people to engage with Facebook. That's one thing I want to communicate too is if you want to get in the mind of how, like, what Facebook prefers, this is a fancy term, algorithm, right? So it's like, how do you beat the algorithm? Well, all that means, how do you show up more often in someone's newsfeed? If you want to think like Facebook, Facebook just wants people to be on Facebook longer, right? So they want people to watch videos because it takes longer to look at it than it does a photo, right? People like using Facebook's features like an event page or something is good for Facebook because you're giving Facebook more information, right? And so if you're thinking about like how do we use Facebook properly, it's to not link out to another page that drives people away from Facebook, but instead creates a story that they can consume right there on Facebook. And that really does apply to other platforms, but Facebook intentionally is pretty heavy-handed in that area. So just some insight there. So yeah, we'll talk about events as well. And then stories and testimonials. This is where we're talking to the heart instead of the head, right? And this is where after an event and you already have like either cards or you hear of a really good story, like get an interview with that person, especially on video. That'd be so powerful, like just a quick, tell me what happened. And that's what changes people's lives is they hear stories of impact. And this is a really great place to do that, is on social media. So those are really good buckets I think we should be thinking through. Questions on these? Does it spark any additional ideas for like, oh, I should be posting that? Okay. So setting up a Facebook event page. In fact, I went ahead and opened up here. So if you log into Facebook, no, okay, great. We're gonna go back here to the safety zone. Okay, cool. So really it's as simple as logging into Facebook, and on the far left there's a section that says events, and you click new event, right? And it starts walking you through. It'll ask you if you want to select the page or profile that will host the event. I recommend using your Facebook core page and selecting it, and then uploading a photo or video that represents it, which I'll show you an example of that in a second. The event name, location, description, fill it all out completely. And this is my like quick mock event. This doesn't exist. But I actually went to Unsplash and typed in cookout. And I was like, oh, that looks good. And I hit download. And I uploaded that photo, and there you go. There's a cookout. It looks really good. It doesn't look too stock photo-y, I don't think. It has good texture. It looks nice. And then it's public, not private. That way other people can find it. And honestly, I would set up a Facebook event for every Sunday service, which you can actually set recurring weekly. That people are like, oh, yeah, I'm going. Okay, cool, yeah. Or like prison ministry outreach, where it's like, oh, I need volunteers. And set up when we're every Thursday or whenever it is, right? From this time to this time, and you can set that it's not just one-time event, but it's a recurring event in the options, and just set it and forget it. Honestly, once you've got it up, there's a share button right here, and it says invite friends. When you click on that, just either select all based on city, so you're not just inviting old college buddies or something, to the event, or you can go through and be thoughtful of who you're doing, like who you're inviting. But I would recommend going to like on the left side where it says select by city or select by group or interest or different things, because then you're really hitting the right number of people. What I find really interesting about Facebook event pages is that once you've invited people and they're interacting on this event page, any time that you post as the hosted page on that event page, everyone who said that they're going gets a notification on their phone. It's really interesting to think about. For example, I did a big promotion for a conference, for a Christian conference, and had lots of people saying like, oh yeah, I'm going to this event, or I'm interested, I'm not sure, or whatever. But as they're interacting with that event page, I would post like, hey, don't forget, like, early tickets go on sale, stop going on sale tomorrow, or don't forget it's tomorrow and it's free. I mean, really, any kind of update, and their phone buzzes and says, hey, so-and-so posted a new update on the event that you're interested in. And you open it up. It's pretty good attention back to that, right? So using this is a really good way to build a community over events. Now, it's different than groups, which is over an interest, but this is a time and a place, even if it's recurring, inviting people to that. I would really recommend it. Yes?
Will you say that you can use that though, and annoy people to be like, well, I don't really want to yell this
Definitely.
fine line, right?
There is a fine line. That's a good point. I know this famous quote from this guy who runs a social media agency in New York, and his clients are like Coca-Cola and GE and like really, really big companies. And his quote is, "Marketers ruin everything." Oops. Right. And so it's like, you're right. Eventually, I think it's going to get spammy. And so like, I encourage you to not spam this too hard, so that way it doesn't happen, but it's kind of inevitable. So you're right, eventually this trick isn't going to be a trick anymore, because people are going to ignore it, right? But at least for now, there's a little bit of arbitrage if you want to jump in, is that, and I would do it well. It's not like, don't post every single day or like every hour leading up to the event, and it's like, well, they're going to get a notification, haha, right? I mean, okay, no. Let's do it a week out from the event, 2 days from the event, and the day of. It'll be fine, right? I would think of like, how would you like to be followed up with? And use that as a good filter. So that's a good disclaimer. Thank you. All right, cool. To touch on a few recommended tools, I've already mentioned Unsplash, and that's just unsplash.com, and that's for images. We can dive into this in Q&A, so let me know if you want to go a little bit deeper on Hootsuite. Has anyone heard of Hootsuite? No? One? No? Great. So I recommend it for a free tool. I think there are some better ones if you're curious of like paid tools, but Hootsuite is a way that you can schedule out all of your content on every social media platform. So if you're like, all right, I'm all in, I've got branded posts that you sat down and created a month's worth of content by saying like, okay, what are 10 statements about who we are? Okay, I've got 10 images, great, but I'm not going to post all 10 today. Cool, space it out every third day, and then set and forget it once a month. By scheduling them out, you can use Hootsuite to do that. So you can log in hootsuite.com. Yep.
Are these free sites?
Free. Yes.
What's the site?
Yeah, hootsuite.com, H-O-O-T, suite, S-U-I-T-E.com. And it allows you to log in, create a post, and says when do you want to post it. It's pretty cool. But the best feature, even though you can do that on Facebook itself, you can say like, okay, I want to post this on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere at this time, saying this one thing, and then schedule it out, and then do it again, because that's a really good tool to help you save time. Instead of like, yeah, I want to post every other day, but I don't remember, right? Great, do it once for like 2 hours, and wait a month, right? That's a really good tool to use. Buffer is a similar tool, but it allows you, and I would encourage you just to go to buffer.com and explore it and see if it fits. But it allows you to do a couple different things. Primarily, it allows you to load in all of any type of post you want to share, and then it will just buffer it out for you by automatically posting, and you don't have to think about when you want to post it. It's pretty cool. Right? Canva is a good free design tool. If you want to take it to the next level and you're like, yeah, but I want to take this image and put color on top and a little text thing that says like event time or something that could be cool, and you're like, but I don't know how to use Photoshop, right? Like, this is a really easy to use tool online, but if you go to canva.com, you can add text to images and do anyway, you can explore that if you want, and then Unsplash. Great. Let's dive in. So I know we have business versus personal, which I'll cover here in just a minute, but what questions as we've been thinking about all these tools and types of content, this is where I wanted to get. So, thoughts?
What platforms besides Facebook?
Yes.
Would you recommend?
I would recommend Facebook, Instagram. Okay, actually, let me take a step back and say I recommend the platform that you'll be consistent with. So if you're like, great, there are a lot, but I can only focus on one at a time, I recommend Facebook. especially for local events and connection, and there's that, you already have friends on your personal profile that you can really integrate with. That's a really good one to start with. If you want to take it especially more to millennials and focus, it also depends on who you're talking to, then I would go towards Instagram for the younger demographic, sharing a lot more branded posts and a little bit more like stories. It's not as good for just like, this event is happening and it's happening now and come to this, but it's more of like talking to the heart and the head, right? Twitter is its own beast, and we can talk through that as well, but it's a little bit more conversational. Think of it like an online like cocktail hour or something, right? Like, yeah. So the way I've heard it best described is when you're on Twitter, it's almost as if you go to like an after hour, business hour event, and you're networking, and you walk up and it's like, hi, nice to meet you, and I'm going to tell you everything about me. And it's like, no, right? And like, you leave, right, that would be Twitter if you went up and just started posting things, right? But instead it's like, hi, how are you? Like, what are you interested in? And you start to develop a network and conversation. It's a way to listen and a way to respond. So it's a good place to like field questions or to search and see like, what are people talking about in my area, and can I respond to them and have a conversation? So it's like public texting. So that's why I'm like, I don't know if that's fitting here, but it might be. So that's kind of the parameters there. And then YouTube would be all video, and it's a very powerful tool. Number one search engine online is YouTube. So that would be really good for streaming events and sharing testimonial videos. Would be on YouTube.
Boy, cowboy.
So does that answer your question?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Great. Okay, let's talk about business versus personal. Yeah. My personal stance is I think you cannot separate business and personal no matter what you do. Ever. Right? I mean, it's a great idea, and it sounds nice. It's like, no, it's nothing personal. It's just business. Oh, that's a real slap in the face. Like, I don't believe it. But again, I think that's my personal opinion about that statement. I think that business is personal. I just do, especially when we're talking about ministry, right? Like, if you're posting something personal, it's something that you care about. What are we talking about here, right? We're talking about the gospel. Oh my gosh, I care about that. That's my personal brand. Like, I want to communicate that. Like, my email address is ericworships@gmail.com. I'm going to tell people, right? Like, I'm not ashamed of the gospel, right? Not saying that you would be if you're not mixing personal, But, like, I think that those who are your friends know what you do, and they're okay to hear about it.
I can add a little bit to that. Being in prison ministries, we cannot give them our personal address to protect ourselves, so therefore we give the core address. That has there's reasons why you can't mix business and personal.
Yep.
Because when you're going out there reaching people that you don't know, you don't know what you're going to get a hold of.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I mean, it's just putting your guard up. You can't just go in and trust somebody 100%.
Right, and I think what I'm trying to say is like where you're posting, if it's like on a personal page or it's like on a business profile, I still think like philosophically, I'm saying I don't mind if it blends, but if it's a stance on like security or like what you're sharing. So a personal example of mine, I was consulting a loan officer in mortgage. Again, that's most of my background. And this loan officer, she was asking me if it was okay for her to post photos on Instagram on her business profile with her kids. Great question, honestly, right? It's like, on the flip side of things, like, should I post business on my personal? What about personal on my business, right? And I think that's a very personal question. That it's like, okay, I think if it's a Christmas card of a photo, that would generically go to most people, and it's not over a current time and place to share your personal information, well, then, yeah, share a photo of your family. If you feel slightly uncomfortable about it, don't. You don't have to do anything, right? That's fine. But if you're trying to find that line, I would just try to stay truly honest and say, this is something that I want to share about, and it's something on my heart, and it happens to be what I do for a living. Great, talk about that. But if you're saying like, currently on vacation somewhere and my house is empty and here's my address, don't post that. You know, like, I'm still use common sense, right? So I would like open the, you know, I don't know, open the floodgates of just like information. So that's a really good point, and it's contextual as well. So like on a prison ministry side, you may need to be thinking a little bit more strategically, you know, and like, but I would say just generally, is it okay for my friends to hear about what I do? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. So, thoughts further on that? That was, again, more my personal stance on it, and I get both arguments. So if you're like, yeah, I'm still a little uncomfortable, like, I think people get annoyed, but, well, then great, back off a little. You know, I mean, I think you should just continue to do what you feel like is right. And I think sharing what you do on your personal side while also sharing personal things is who you are, right? So that's my take. Thoughts, questions? Yes.
I have a confession.
Great.
I'm a stalker on Facebook.
Yes. We forgive you. There's grace for that.
I love it.
Yeah.
But I think we have to be so careful how we respond.
Okay.
Because even in ministry, we may have a separate page, but we all know unless we punch private, everything we say is out there. And people will see how you are responding in those private posts. That reflects your ministry. That reflects your Christian testimony.
Yes.
So when we are responding, the old thing, what would Jesus do?
Right.
Would Jesus approve me responding in this manner?
Yes. I think that applies to personal and business. Right? So, like, I think anything that you post online or share in person or communicate with your brothers and sisters should be through that filter, right? And so, like, if you're posting something or commenting with the private label, I think that still applies, right?
I think sometimes, though, people feel they're behind this, and it's different than when you're face-to-face with somebody, but put it there, who's going to care? Write it, regret it.
Yeah. I think, again, that's really going into a heart issue, truthfully, right? So, like, who's going to even care? I know who cares the most and where my identity lies, right? And it's in God. And so, like, if there's this actual, like, heart issue or anger that comes out through social media when you have this cover that you're saying, right, and you're sitting behind the trolls and we talk about all that stuff, right, it's rooted in insecurity, it's rooted in not knowing your identity in Christ. And I think that's its own thing, right? But I think if we're talking about, you know, how should the differences be, I think that's the reason why there shouldn't be differences. It's because I know who I am, right? And I know my identity is in Christ, not in my job, and I don't have a different identity in my job than I do in my personal life. I think that's more of a personal challenge than anything. So, yes.
Can you talk more about how to create a successful event on Facebook?
Yes,
And
absolutely.
even maybe going into the advertisement part of it?
Yeah, definitely. I could get pretty geeky about it. So I don't know how intense you want me to go.
Well, at my core, we use this to promote Vacation Bible School and our bigger events. And so we had success with the fall festival.
Yep.
So going forward, that's something that, as a core, we decided that's how we want to promote most of our events.
Okay.
Because we saw a great response through the fall festival, and very inexpensive as opposed to trying to do the old school banner that would cost hundreds of dollars for every event.
Right. So let's do a case study. Sounds great. Do most people have a similar type event, like a fall festival or something?
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's promote a fall festival, shall we? October 2019, fall festival, right? And like Salvation Army local city insert here, right? And so let's do that. Great. Oh, man. It's gonna kill me. All right, so, Fall Festival, October 12th, I have no idea. 2019, great. What is our main theme for the event?
It's usually surrounded with Halloween, but in a Christian
Okay.
environment.
Harvest,
Yeah.
great,
Harvest
Harvest
Eve.
Festival, that's good, great. What could be the 2019 spin on it? Right, let's have a little fun, creativity. So should we lean into thankfulness?
Are
That's
we-
going into Thanksgiving?
Are we trying to like look for a theme?
Yes,
Okay.
theme,
You know, I was thinking like, since it's a harvest,
Yep.
why don't we just say bringing in the sheaves,
bringing in what?
the sheaves?
Bringing in the sheaves.
Yeah, you know, like this song.
I don't know the word
You don't
sheaves.
know that song?
No. Is it like bringing in the harvest, right? Is that what you're saying?
Right,
Yeah.
bringing in the
I really like that.
Yeah, like bringing
Great,
in
bringing in the sheaves, let's do it. So, this is our slogan.
You also learn.
I like it. I'm a forever student, so I love it.
Yeah, that's a song also.
Bring it
And the sheep.
in the spell sheaves.
No,
E-A.
We know what we need to say.
B-E-S. Got it. Bring it in the sheaves. Great. So this should be text on top of every image that's promoting it. That's like Fall Festival with the date and the time, and it says bring it in the sheaves.
That's the theme, right?
That's the thing, right? So this should be an image, right? And the background could be like cornfield.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Great.
Like the bundles of straw.
Perfect. No, it's okay, I'll listen to it later. I will.
Yeah, right.
You I answer yes. Perfect. Okay, one way or another. So, Fall Festival, bring it in the sheaves. So I'm thinking every email, every post, the Facebook event page, this is what people are gonna remember, right? It's like, oh, another Fall Festival. No, it's the Bring in the Sheaves Fall Festival 2019, right? Like, this is always what's gonna happen. So this is a formula, right? So great, we've got our theme. Do we have any like special guests or people speaking or a band playing or like,
Sometimes
what are
we
we
do,
talking about?
yes.
Yeah?
Mostly like a carnival setting.
Carnival.
Bounce house.
Yeah, great. So this is kind of like a features list, right? So like,
Let's do
carnival games, right? Like, kid friendly. I'm just thinking of like little buzzwords, right?
Bounce house.
Bounce house.
That'll be.
Oh my gosh, it's so squeaky.
Don't forget the food.
Hot dogs.
Lots of food, friends, family, right?
Yeah, fellowship.
Eat good, right? So you start talking about this event, right? We've all promoted an event, this is good. So every single one of those can be a different post, right, online. So let's talk about carnival games and share like 5 different photos or a quick short video of the carnival games. Take the actual YouTube clip of Bring in the Sheaves and post that. You're like, this is why we're having this theme, right? I mean, that's amazing. We talk about that, right? Use lyrics from the song and use that as content for promoting the event. Bounce house, like I would get the director of someone who's like really, really high up that people know and like get them in a bouncy house. That'd be awesome, right? Get people like excited about the event and buzz about the event. So this is the type of content that I'll be making, but that's just what we're saying. Now, where are we saying it? So this is we're distribution, right? So this is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, right? As you're promoting these different events. Now it's email, right? It's flyers, it's local bulletins, it's a newspaper ad. It's something where the community wants to hear about it. Well, then great, that's PR, right? Local PR, where you're like, hey, you want to hear about this super awesome event? It's bringing in the sheaves, and we're gonna have a great time, and it's for all family, and we're talking, right? So I would try to get as much local buzz as possible, especially for an event like this, right? It's like, this is a great place for people to come, have a good time on, you know, like before it gets too cold and we're still outside, and, you know, those kinds of things. Is this helping too? Does this sound good? Okay, great.
Is there a flock of people with these event pages, or do you rather have the core have one official page?
I would do one per local event.
Okay, but I mean, would every member put up an event page for it?
No.
Just the
No.
name.
I would say, yeah, that's a really good, so there is a section that when you're setting up the event page, it says, who else is hosting this event? And you could actually type in that person's name, and as long as you're Facebook friends with them, then it will link. And so, yeah, and then it'll be like hosted by John Smith, Bill, Susie, you know, so and it'll just like list all these different people, which is great. And then you can invite your own friends to it, which would be amazing, right? So yeah, I would have one event page per physical location and time, right? So like if it's a national thing and there's multiple locations all at the same time, I would still do, each location has their own, right? Does that make sense? Okay. Yes.
How is that affected by our safe from harm if we post the pictures of the children? The event one would be more public versus our core ones tend to be private
Okay.
because of the children's privacy.
Okay.
Do you know what Safe One is?
I don't. It sounds
It's
familiar.
a program where we are taught that we have to be careful
Okay.
in taking pictures
Yep.
and not,
Yep.
you know, showing their faces,
Yep.
that kind of thing, to keep children safe,
Okay.
basically. Am I saying that right?
But isn't there also a form that they fill out to say that you can post my picture?
I believe so.
Yeah, it's that photo release form.
Yeah,
So
so
that would take
all I
care
can
of
say
it.
is from like, what I know from like mortgage and from big like advertising perspective, if you're trying to get a photo release form, if there is a large group of people and they're in action and it's a public thing, then you can take a collection of people without any release. But I would filter that through, like, if there's a safe from harm thing and it's a compliance thing for you guys, great, apply that to this, right? Don't post the photo.
Can you repeat that?
Having a festival or something like that, you
Then
want
it's
to get
okay.
everybody to sign, but you just take discrete pictures.
So,
Yeah.
the Salvation Army policy, when it comes to those kind of things, is if it's not a Salvation Army camera or phone, then you can't post it. It's not officially as the Salvation Army. So unless your officer took the picture, you're not, or it's a core camera, most cores have it, then you can't really use your phone to be taking pictures and then post on behalf of the Salvation Army. That's the Safe from Harm policy. And then that'll keep you protected, and then you don't have to worry about that.
So if you're using your phone, you can post it on your private page.
You can post it on your private page, but
you
not as
can't
a Salvation Army.
Salvation Army page.
And if you want to use a picture like that, as long as you're not showing faces, if it's the back, if it's like a game and the kids are facing the game and you're behind them, that's fine. That's how you get around that if you want to show your actual event.
Yeah, so I would just think about those images and what can be posted, and then post those that can be posted.
Was you talking about, making the page to go out for the public to see, to bring them in? Or were you talking about putting them just on your private page?
No, the event.
Talking about the
The
event.
The
Okay,
event
we
will
were
be
doing it for
public.
the event.
Yeah, it would be open
Didn't
to
you,
the public.
didn't you say Unsplash has photos?
Yep,
So
exactly
you
right.
can
Thank you.
use other photos, it doesn't have to be
Exactly
about our
right.
personal
Right.
story.
Yeah, an example of that is like, I would legitimately use this photo to promote a church cookout.
Yeah.
But those people are models,
Yeah.
right? So like, but it was a free photo
Right.
and unlicensed, so you're safe to use it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why I recommend that
Yeah.
sign.
You don't see their
So
face.
you
Right.
can use, yeah.
Yeah, and even, and I guess in that specific instance too, is if you actually took a photo of them, just crop out the face.
Right.
Right, like now you have an event photo. And I would in this instance, like, use, Canva to take that photo, and this is kind of next level, right, is I would take that photo and upload it to canva.com and add maybe like a blue color or red, actually on brand for you guys, a red color over top, make it the opacity come down a little so it's see-through, and then add text over top that says Fall Festival, bringing in the sheaves. And that would be the photo for the event. That would be next level, right? I think that would be really nice.
How do you keep Facebook from continually telling you, boost this page, or boost this?
They're never gonna keep asking you, because they want money. Yeah, which, I don't know, can you guys run ads on Facebook, like boost?
Yes.
Both you can, yeah.
We have to go put some things, we have limits and guides to go by.
Okay.
That's why I was saying, could we use somebody else's picture, like you said, there was some on Unsplash,
Yes.
that we could use for the program that we're doing, so
Yep.
we don't get into any
That's
problem.
really, really good. Yes, definitely.
It depends on the event.
Okay. If you do have room, I would say, and you're like, where do I spend that advertising dollar? Like, if we're talking online, the cost per conversion online, Facebook ads is the #1 against anything. Google ads included, right? So like, which we can talk a little bit more about that if you guys are interested, but primarily, if we're talking about an event and we're promoting it, you have a little bit of dollars, and I'm talking like $20. You don't need a lot, right? And over a week or something. Then on that event page, right here, there's Boost Event, right? Click on that, and then I would set it up as targeted as you can get it, within close to like 1,000 people, if you can. So that would be anyone who likes your page or friends of your page is a good one, or anyone in the area that likes festivals, right? Like, and maybe within an age range, or you can kind of tweak with that and be like, ooh, that's a lot of people. It'll probably get lost in the noise. If you can get it close to 1,000 people, well then it's a higher likelihood of them remembering and hearing about the event and seeing it more often. If you can get that ad to show up more than once, then that's a good thing, right? Because people scroll past, right? And then they see it again, and they see it a third time and go, oh, that's interesting, what is this? Right? It's called frequency, and it's a really, really important metric in advertising.
And you hide them.
Yeah, sure. Or you just scroll past, right? Yeah, good. So, back to promoting this fall festival, we've got a theme, we've got a name, we've got all these different benefits, and like I said, every single one of these features, or every single one of these, like, things we're gonna have at the event should be its own post. Not one post that talks about all of them, right? You can, but you have so much more to work with here of talking about just the carnival games, just the fact that it's kid-friendly, just the fact that we have a bouncy house, hilarious. I'm telling you, put someone in there that shouldn't be in a bouncy house. Be great. Dogs, I don't care. Like, who shouldn't be in it? That'd be funny. Food-friendly, food-friendly family, right? Post a lot of food. You can even go to Unsplash and just get photos of food. I don't know. Like, if it looks like something that you're gonna have, you know, if you're gonna have ribs, great. Find a picture of ribs. Post it. Great, right? And so that would be Fall Festival content, but then where you should promote it, do you guys have email lists, right? Email, yes?
Yes.
Okay, great. How do you usually send out an email to like a list? Is it through a software or something you guys use, or is it?
Alex.
Alex?
Now I use Dragon Mobile Personal Assistant.
Okay, gotcha. I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah,
Is it good?
it is.
Okay.
It's hands-free and eyes-free as well.
What's
Okay.
it called?
Balance,
Say it again.
Dragon.
Dragon?
Now it's Dragon.
How do you spell it?
Balance is a software company.
Okay.
Dragon is the software or the actual,
Dragon email?
right.
Okay.
It composes emails, answers SMS, and MMS, sends and receives with hands-free.
Okay. There you go. I use MailChimp, which is also a really good one. And it's very user-friendly, drag and drop, and you can
What's yours?
put in your content. What's that?
What's the name of it?
MailChimp.
MailChimp, what does that do?
That's an email, like, you can take a list of emails and add that to MailChimp and then send one email to all of them.
To everybody.
Yeah, there's
Mail,
several
check.
out there like that.
So you don't have to keep
Yeah, like a
repeating
monkey.
it every time I call you?
MailChimp? What?
So you don't have to keep repeating it every time I call
Yeah,
you?
yeah. MailChimp, squeak like the board, right?
Wow.
Boxby is another one.
What's that?
Boxby.
Boxby?
Boxby, yeah.
Boxby? Yeah.
Spell the first one.
Spell the first one.
No, the one you now is or whatever.
Oh, yeah, how do you spell now?
Oh, dragon.
So, Dragon. I put like dragon email or something and see what comes up. Yeah.
Dragon.
Okay.
There's also one called Band,
Band.
B-A-N-D.
B-A-N-D. Check that one out. Either way, I would be thinking about distribution. Where are these messages being shared, right? Is it through email? Is it through local? Is it through different events? Do you have a Facebook group of people that you can share with? Do you have sharing it personally, texting it to people that you know should go to the event? People of influence who can ask other people to go to the event, right? So that's how I would promote it. And then for follow-up, especially on like a Facebook event page where you've boosted it and you have activity here and people are saying that they're interested in going to the event, then I would, depending on how far out we have for the promotion, it's like a month out with more details and different things that's happening. And every single one of these should be shared on that event page as well. Like, get excited, look, we just put up the bouncy house, stay up, right? It's like, look at this person, I'm telling you, it's cool. And then an hour before, and then maybe even like as soon as it starts, looks like people are showing up, and like, you don't want to miss out, like, because there are people too who never say that they're going, or even say they're going, but they're like, I don't know, I'm tired now, and like, I just got home from work, and it's like, oh man, this is a thing though, that people are going to, I don't want to miss out. And you can start posting about like people having a good time during the event, live stream the event, right? Just open up and start live streaming on Facebook. And then after the event, stories from people having a great time. And that's where you'll need releases, right? It's like when you're interviewing maybe a parent who brought their kid and had a really good time and was glad that they had something to do that evening or whatever. You can have like a quick video or even just a written testimonial, and you want to get a release from them to post that. Great. Questions? Promote an event.
I would just say on the events, it is worth it if you get your crosser behind the
Oh, yeah.
the promoting the event, investing a little bit of money on it. It's especially because depending on where your core is, if you have a big residential area as opposed to some of the ones where there's a lot of businesses around, you have neighborhoods and you target that area specifically, that's what the people around you are going to see. They might not even know that you're there, depending on how big your neighborhoods are there. And so that's from experience, we were able to get about 300 people to a fall festival because we spent $30 on Facebook.
Wow.
And so, as you said, it is the #1 place. It doesn't seem like, it seems like you're just throwing money away because you don't get anything physical, but it is the way that advertising is moving towards, and it's really easy for anybody to use it, user-friendly.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, and it's like, what I find interesting about it is if you put an ad in a newspaper, that's a fixed cost, and you put the money in there, and I think you know if people saw it because they had the newspaper, or magazine, or other print ad, or flyer, or bulletin, right? And it's like, you hope they walk by, right? But what's nice about Facebook ads is that you only pay when they interact with it, or when they see it, depends on how you set up the bid. But it's like, oh, okay, I spent 3 cents for every person who looked at it. And I know at least a range of what the demographics are, when they interacted with it. You don't know who they are, so it's not a privacy thing, but you see generally the range of people who interacted with it, and when they did, and the fact that they actually did. That's what's crazy to me, right? It's like why you should always use digital, especially first, is the inexpensive and the trackableness of it. I mean, it's incredible, because you can see 32 people saw it in this window of time, for sure, and you only paid for those 32 people to see it. That's pretty cool. Instead of, I think it worked.
I have one, I don't know why, but an advertisement is $1.
Yes.
And the only time I'm charged, if they buy the item, not if they see it,
Yes.
but if they buy the item.
Great.
And it always pops up if you, it's like, for instance, if I come online, or wherever online, that advertisement's gonna pop up. I have them pop up on my, every time I come on the internet, there's something popping up. You just exit out, I'm interested, just get it, go away.
Right.
Well, the same thing, is when they come in, that advertisement comes up first. And I only pay when they buy it.
And it's pop-up advertising?
Yes.
Okay. Personally, I don't like pop-up ads.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Exactly.
Leave me alone.
Exactly. So, I even have this philosophy of like, if a company's running, pop-up ads, then I now don't like that company. So it could be a negative PR move, so I'd be a little weary about that.
But it has intents that our sales.
Yeah.
I'm saying that
Yeah.
it wasn't bad money thrown, it wasn't money thrown away because
Yeah.
you don't pay anything unless they buy it.
Yeah, I personally still wouldn't do it, but that's my move, right? Just because of the lost perception on how people interact with what I'm doing, and if I don't like the way it's being delivered, then I don't want other people to interact with it that way, personally. But if it's working, then that's fine, so that's more personal thing.
The store and kettle campaign, how would you promote the red kettles that people drop their money in and the thrift store?
Separately.
Yeah.
Yeah. So would this be on using like a Facebook page or just generically?
The
How would
kettle
you-
campaign would sort of be an event.
Yep.
Christmas,
Yes,
but the thrift store is not. It's
Right.
an ongoing
that's a
operation.
local, right? So that's just a local business.
Yeah.
That's the way I would categorize that, right? Is, so there's multiple different ways to think about it. I mean, for the kettle campaign, that would be pretty similar, honestly, to this local event, right? I would lean into why it matters and storytelling of like interviewing those holding the kettle.
Yeah.
Right? And getting their stories and why they're actually doing that. I mean, I'm sure that's very powerful.
Yeah.
People want to hear that, right? And like, where's that money even going? And stories of impact of when that money was used. Right? I want to know that. Share it with me, right? And so, but it's all from the perspective of the kettle campaign being the hero of that. That's what's enabled these stories of impact to actually happen. But the ultimate reason is what people want to hear.
And how would you post that, like,
Yeah.
how, I mean, just follow-ups from the kettle campaign, or how?
Oh, I would lead up to the kettle campaign with stories from years past, for sure. And that would be, so if we're talking, really distribution, we can send these ideas anywhere, right? So it's more coming up with what we want to say. So if we're talking Facebook, like frequency, is that what you kind of?
Yeah.
Okay, so, gosh, I would, as soon as it hits the turn of the holiday season, everyone's promoting, right? So like, close to Thanksgiving, then I would start, right out the gate, maybe like the Saturday or the Friday, Black Friday or something, right? A video of a story, a really, really powerful impact story, and post that on the page, which you can
Thomas
use.
Young has put out some great videos.
Great.
One of them
Use it.
that I like the most is, where does your dollar go?
Yep, good.
A percentage that goes here. In other words, your changes, and it shows changing lives. It shows, they've got some great videos out there. It really tells a story.
Yeah.
So that we don't really have to tell the story. that video.
Telling
And
itself.
it's out there on YouTube, all we have to do is go to YouTube and bring it up and post it
Yep,
for our event. I mean,
Yep.
it's not like we've got to do it ourselves,
Yep.
because we're amateurs.
Yep.
We've got professionals that have already done that.
Fantastic.
We just have to reach out there and,
Yes,
and
good,
it's out there for us to use.
good, good.
And I love that your change is changing lives.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cool.
So your change is changing lives.
I
Yes.
love it.
Yes, good.
So the food store has the same impact, but you
Yes.
don't have an event to hang it on.
Yeah. And a
The
lot of
ARC
people
has
don't know
some
what.
videos for that.
Yes.
They do have some videos for that.
Do you know if
Same
you
kind of
can, if
thing.
you can get the video file instead of like a YouTube link?
And
Yes,
ministry
you
toolkit, you should be able to get.
Ministry Toolkit is the name of our site for
Great.
distributing
That's
our
right.
media.
Great.
Yeah.
So if you can get the video file and upload that to Facebook, if we're talking about Facebook, that's gonna do better than a link from YouTube
And then you can
specifically.
delay and-
Yeah, exactly, right? So
I
it's that,
just use YouTube as an example.
yeah, oh, totally.
Because some of it's out there already in YouTube.
Yeah.
And
No,
it's
that's
already,
fantastic.
already,
Yeah, I didn't mean to
the ministry
step
moved
on
in.
that. But, yeah, but just so you know, like, kind of back to the mentality of like, how does Facebook work, right? It's that Facebook wants you to stay on Facebook. So if you can upload that on Facebook and even as a post on, if we're talking about the Kettle campaign on the event page or something like that, then that's great. But on your actual page, sharing that video as an actual video post, I would just do that technically. Now, if you're talking about a brick and mortar store that's a local business, right, that's going to take a little bit more storytelling that's consistent. So it sounds like you do have those, those videos and maybe even images as well, right?
So they're just posting once a month, maybe,
Ooh,
here's
yeah.
the food your store did, your dollars.
You can even do, don't y'all have special sales like
That's what-
senior
yeah.
day and
Yeah,
you have the
Yeah,
different
so-
types of sales that go on every week.
right. So there are different types of promotions. There are 4 different types of promotions, just like categorically, right? Which is like one-on-one personal sales, advertising, PR, and sales promotion. So PR would be going and using like paid media, right, to actually get people to like hear about it and like local media and they're working for you. But then it would apply for promotions for advertising, right, where you can run ads to local about your message of impact. But then sales promotion is different. You can put a coupon online. There's even an offer, like on, I don't know if you have the ability to post coupons for these stores, but you can actually make a post called an offer and use an offer code from Facebook, which is really cool. And it looks like a code and it's auto-generated. It's nice. It's really good. Integrates. Yep.
What about Instagram? How would you
Yes.
promote?
Yes.
Because I know like Eric is talking about Facebook, but
Mhm.
I don't really use Facebook. I use only Instagram and
Yep.
what because of course we have a youth program, so how we can reach the youth.
Yes. Yeah, that's great. Instagram Stories is really effective on reaching people at the top of their feed. So if you're sharing, especially like day-to-day what you're doing and showing the daily impact, it would be a really good like daily story to share of, 'cause I don't know what you do like day in and day out, but if you could share something that you're working on or like different things that people that you're interacting with, and it may depend on when we're talking about like release and everything, but even if it's you talking or something would be really good. But then if you're taking from these ministry tools, or the toolkit ministry tool, right? Yep, you can still share up to 60 seconds of a video, and even post now 9:16, it doesn't have to be a square anymore. And I would still share a lot of that content on Instagram. You don't get a lot of the same, like local event tool stuff that you get on Facebook. And the reason why I'm even double downing on Facebook is just it being a really good initial tool and the largest amount of people are on that platform. But when you're wanting to use Instagram, I would go right after the heart and not the head, which is message of impact and sharing like either testimonies or like really good video. Yeah. And I mean, beautiful images for sure. That's like what Instagram is initially created for, is to share images. But videos, I mean, to be honest, the number one performing video link on Instagram is 5 to 15 seconds. So I would keep that in mind as well. So if you even have like a long, really good video, you might take the 5 to 15 second like amazing moment that's 2 minutes in and just trim it and post only that. That would be really good. Or even take that 2-minute video and have 5 to 15 second clips dripped out over the next several days. Would be really good.
Is that Facebook part of Instagram?
It is. It's owned by the company, Facebook. And so what's good about that is when we're talking about advertising, you can set up ads to run on Facebook and on Instagram, and reach different people on both platforms. So if we're talking about promoting even an event, if it's an event page, then it will only show up on Facebook. But if you set up like an image that shows the fall festival and it's talking about the event with the details of it, I would put that in the post and run that as an ad on Facebook and on Instagram. And you can do that. So I would think of Instagram almost like a social media mixed with print media, in a sense. So if you're like running a magazine ad and you have a really cool image and then details about the event, right? That can work well on Instagram. It's like a really captivating image that stops the scroll, and it looks really good. It looks like something's happening, and then the details about the event, but you can't link out to something. Instead, just tell them right there, like it was a print ad or something, right? But it's on Instagram. You can still share it. You can still comment on it. But that's a really good way to interact with it on Instagram. Where are we at? Intel? Okay, great. I need to hand out these survey things if you don't mind filling this out on your way. But as I'm doing that, are there any other quick questions I can maybe answer? Thoughts? This will be more quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Do you want this back now?
You can just leave it on your, like where you're sitting, whenever you leave. But yeah, right now. 1, 2, 3. Well, thank you all. I hope it was beneficial and that you had good ideas from it.
What do you think of regular websites? Traditional.
6, 7, 8. I think it's necessary. I do. I think it's not required. I think it may depend on what you're doing, to be honest, you know? So if we're talking like millennials and younger, down to Gen Z, then I would say that if you don't have a Facebook account at least, but really even Instagram at this point, if you're really talking about Gen Z, it's only Instagram. Then if you don't have it, then you probably don't exist at all, right? And so a website might help a little bit when it comes for like if you're trying to search for something, so like Google search, you need a website. It's going to help with SEO. I don't know, I think there's a longer answer there. I'm trying to be as generic as possible, but yeah.
Could you put your information back up?
Sure.